Today, we're going to talk about a moment in history that didn't just reshape a nation, but actually gave the entire world a powerful lesson on what freedom really means. And we're going to see it all through the eyes of one incredible leader, Nelson Mandela. It all really centers on one specific date, May 10th, 1994. Now, this wasn't just some other day on the calendar. This was the day that centuries, literally centuries of racial oppression in South Africa finally came to an end. So what was so special about that day? Well, it marked nothing short of the rebirth of a nation, and it all happened at the historic inauguration of Nelson Mandela. Okay, so just try to picture this scene in Pretoria. You've got leaders from all over the world gathered together. Nelson Mandela takes the oath, becoming the first Black president of a newly free South Africa. And in this just incredible show of unity, his two deputy presidents are sworn in right alongside him. Thabo Mbeki and F.W. de Klerk, who, was the last president of apartheid South Africa. But maybe the most powerful symbol of the day, it came from the military. The very same generals who once enforced the brutal system of apartheid were now standing there saluting their new Black president. I mean, what a seismic shift. This was the dawn of a new democracy, right before the world's eyes. But a moment like this incredible triumph, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It didn't come without a huge cost. Behind all that celebration was a long, painful walk, and it's so important to understand the immense sacrifice that made it all possible. On that very day, Mandela himself made a point to pay tribute to the heroes who fought right alongside him, so many of whom never got to see this victory. He knew his freedom was built on the sacrifices of leaders like Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Chief Luthuli, Bram Fisher, and Robert Sobukwe. He actually said he saw himself as just the sum of all those who had come before him. And it was this deep, decades-long struggle that didn't just forge a new nation. It also forged Mandela's very personal, very profound understanding of one of our most important virtues as human beings. And that virtue? It was courage. But here's the thing. His definition of courage probably isn't what you think it is. So let's dig into what that long, hard fight taught him about triumphing over fear. For Mandela, courage wasn't about being fearless. Not at all. He'd be the first to tell you he felt fear plenty of times. The real test for him was what you did in spite of that fear. So courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was the triumph over it. And this quote just says it all, right, doesn't it? A brave person isn't someone who doesn't feel afraid. It's someone who looks that fear right in the eye and conquers it. It's an action. It's a choice you make, a victory of your will over your instinct. That's the key right there. And this whole idea of an internal struggle and evolution, it also applied to how he understood freedom itself. For him, freedom wasn't some static idea he was born with. It grew and changed right along with him over the course of his life. Mandela's journey to understanding freedom really happened in stages. As a kid, freedom was pretty simple. Running around in the fields, swimming in the stream, just being a kid. Then, as a young man, it got more personal. It was about the freedom to choose his own career, to start a family. But as he got older and saw the chains of apartheid binding not just him, but all of his people, his whole perspective shifted. He realized that his personal freedom was basically an illusion while others were not free. And that's when he came to his conclusion. True freedom had to be collective. It had to be the right for all people to live their lives with dignity and equality. And that realization led him to his final, and I think most profound lesson on freedom. It's an idea that really turns our usual way of thinking completely on its head. Okay, so here's the idea. Mandela argued that in a system of oppression, you don't just have one prisoner, you have two. Of course, the oppressed are prisoners. That's obvious. They're robbed of their rights, their dignity, their very humanity. But, and this is the radical part, the oppressor is also a prisoner. They're trapped behind the bars of their own hatred, their own prejudice. See, in his view, both are robbed of their humanity, just in different ways. So, what's the takeaway? For freedom to be real, for it to be whole and complete, you can't just liberate the oppressed, you have to liberate the oppressor too. True freedom requires a mutual liberation for everyone. And this vision, well, it defined his entire life's work. This quote really sums up his ultimate goal perfectly. It wasn't just about ending a terrible system. It was about building something new in its place, a society where absolutely everyone, no matter their race, could live together in harmony and have the same shot at a good life.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. If Mandela's right, if both the person in chains and the person holding the key are actually prisoners, it forces us to ask a much bigger question. What is the true key that unlocks freedom for everyone? And what's our role in helping to turn it?